Today on the Tearsheet Podcast.
This idea formed of how do we automate the process of our clients being able to align their capital with their values, or I like to say heart. And that came about through seeing the plethora of data that is available these days and only growing. And I had gone through the process through working with my foundation of having a relatively difficult time aligning our investments with the pillars that hold up our foundation values. And so I saw that we could automate this for all of our clients, and I saw a real hunger for that in the world.
Welcome to the Tearsheet Podcast. I'm Zack Miller, Tearsheet's Editor-in-Chief. On today's podcast, I'm joined by Will Peterffy and Eddy Soffer of Interactive Brokers. Will, son of Interactive Brokers founder, is a new board member of the online brokerage and its ESG Ambassador. Interactive Brokers recently rolled out a portfolio scorecard that grades equity portfolios along several dimensions, including reducing emissions and human rights. The pair join us on the podcast to discuss the new initiative and what customers are asking for when it comes to investing responsibly. We also talk about where this environmental, social, and governance initiative is headed from a product perspective and across the industry.
My name is Will Peterffy, and currently I am the ESG Director at Interactive Brokers. I work in philanthropy as well, and a lot of other kind of financial avenues, all pointing in the direction of moving away from an extractive-based economy to one that is more based in life, growth, and gift. So I would say in a snapshot, that is my focus.
Got it. And Eddy, can you introduce yourself? What do you do?
Certainly. My name is Eddy Soffer, and I also work at Interactive Brokers. I am the ESG manager, working very closely with Will. And I joined about a year ago, very passionate about ESG and helping the firm to move into that direction.
Amazing. And so let's start first with you, Will. What was the impetus in the company? Maybe the story behind the scenes about Interactive Brokers moving into ESG. Like, what's the story there?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good story. So my father founded the company way back when. And I, growing up as his son, always have been very environmentally motivated. I'm 31 years old, so I kind of was seeing the real-time destruction of our planet. And through growing up with him as a father, I was always immersed in finance and mainly mainstream public finance. Through that, I ended up working at some hedge funds in Manhattan. That was a chapter of my life, and I actually left there extremely disheartened. I saw decisions being made that impacted the globe and whole communities that only were focusing on just financial profit and none of the other impacts. And so from that, I've always kind of been somewhat of a big picture thinker and looking at the world as a whole and seeing that these certain externalities that I was taught about in economics are, really unacceptable. Those are the things in the world that are getting treated very poorly and that we're seeing go away very quickly, really commons, the community resources of the air, the earth, the planet. And seeing that those externalities really were responsible behavior, that takes more work to be a good citizen, to take care of your community and to take care of the planet. And currently, as financial incentives are the main motivator behind a lot of human activity, that activity needs to be accounted for and rewarded in the marketplace. And so kind of moving into the company to see if I wanted to join or not, I really wanted to make sure that I was joining for the right reason. And this was about the time ESG had been around for a few years, but I kind of saw it as a baby step, like it wasn't really going to be what we needed. But I saw that the data points that it was utilizing and how much data is growing gave the idea to be able to automate this process of investing aligned with values, which I had gone through when we were in the process of setting up our foundation. We had to invest all of that money and we really didn't want to be investing in companies that would be contributing to the very problems we were trying to solve, through the grants of the foundation. And so that was a lengthy process, and then I saw all of this data and realized, we could automate this for people. And I saw a real hunger for people to want to be empowered in their finance and to make impact with their dollars. And so that was the idea, and we wanted to bring it to the people.
Yeah, it's great timing. Also, we just ran a story today actually about millennials and younger demographics, like really asking their financial institutions to step up and take more responsibility about their behavior. So you join and you bring this sort of ethos into Interactive Brokerage. Where did you start?
At IB.
Yeah, like what? So you brought that ethos in. There's this new fresh energy. You're focused on this. Like, what does your work look like from the beginning?
Yeah, so I joined. My initial joining was really just on the board, and it was kind of comical in the way that the whole thing came up in that fateful board meeting. But I had, I really had those two statistics of, something along the lines of $60 trillion transferring to millennial and younger generations over the coming years. And, those younger generations being at least 4 times more likely to pay more for a eco-friendly product rather than less for a mass-produced product. So that kind of, got everybody really jazzed on ESG. And so then when I came in, I was looking at it as a 1-2 punch, one being internal. So, really getting our company aligned with the values that are behind ESG, sustainability, changing to sustainable kitchen products and getting rid of all of the plastic, things of that nature. And then, we kind of did E, S, and G systematically. S, really resourcing our employees to give back to the community, and then G being switching our governance. So we've had a great amount of success in a relatively short time, I would say. Eddy, do you want to speak to some of the social aspects that we have enacted over the past year?
Sure, certainly. So to Will's point, Zach, one of the things we wanted to do is make sure that the elements were incorporated into the overall culture. Mm-hmm. So on the S side, we're focusing a lot in increasing diversity and inclusion within the firm. We have specific programs that will help to increase the number of females at all levels. We're also looking to engage more on a global basis, sort of create more connections between employees. We recently launched an employee magazine that now everybody's able to look at and to get to know their colleagues, because we are a large company and we have presence in quite a number of markets. We also recently approved a matching gift policy. We're looking to introduce community relations and volunteer policies as well. And one of the things that Will mentioned about giving back to communities is earlier this year, Zach, you probably saw in the press, we donated $5 million in the United States for COVID-related causes, both for research and to help those that needed it the most. So we expect to continue those sort of things in the future. So it's been a very exciting journey so far. Go ahead.
Amazing. So that's the internal activity. And then in October, you guys launched an outward-facing function. So can you address that new product launch?
Exactly. So that's the 2 punch I referenced, and that's the part that I'm very, very excited about is what we can give to the world to allow more alignment with heart and capital. And so this idea formed of how do we automate the process of our clients being able to align their capital with their values, or I like to say heart. And that came about through seeing the plethora of data that is available these days and only growing. And I had gone through the process through working with my foundation of having a relatively difficult time aligning our investments with the pillars that hold up our foundation values. And so I saw that we could automate this for all of our clients, and I saw a real hunger for that in the world, and I saw a real ability to do that. So if I may, I can talk about a little bit about how the tool functions.
Yep, let's go.
Beautiful. So this tool exists on all of our platforms currently, our trader workstation, our client portal, and our mobile app. And so when you log on to the tool for the first time, you'll be prompted with a values-oriented survey. And so we came up with 13 customized values criteria that we think speak to the comprehensive set of values that one would want to pay attention to when impacting business and the planet. Things from pure water to sustainable product life cycle to transparency within the company to LGBTQ inclusion. Excuse me. I'm not going to say all of them, but they're like that, and there's 13 of them. So you'll go through and you'll answer those on a sliding scale of how much they're important to you. So from I don't at all to this is the most important thing to me. I don't want to be involved with any company that impacts one of these in a negative way. Actually, the opposite. I only want to be involved in companies that are impacting this in a positive way. And so once you put those in, you'll then be prompted to see, do you want to exclude any practices? So kind of this was the tactic that's been going for some time of just kind of an exclusionary tactic of avoiding certain practices. So you'll be able to do that as well. And once you finish that process, this is, if you already have a portfolio with us, you'll instantly be able to see your portfolio through this values lens we've created. So it's pretty much a letter grade in the center of, we call it the impact lens, but it's a letter grade in the center of a circle, and the ring around that circle is segmented proportionally based on your positions in your portfolio. So the letter grade in the middle corresponds to overall how aligned is your portfolio with your values. Each section in the ring surrounding the letter grade corresponds to a specific position in your portfolio, and it's color-coded. So, it's color-coded from red to green, and there's yellow in the middle. If it's red, that's showing you, you're misaligned. You really care about pure water, for example, or clean oceans, and this company is known for dumping excessive amounts of pollution and plastics into the oceans. So that'll show up as red. You'll then be able to hover over that red segment. It'll show you which company that is, and then it'll also show you other companies that you're going to be able to instantly swap for, so that are in a similar market cap in a similar industry, but are much more aligned with your values. So you can overall improve your values score while instantly aligning your capital with your heart or values.
That's great. And I'm curious, I know it's been a short time since you launched. What customer feedback has been?
I think it's relatively positive. I think maybe, Eddy, you may have more eyes on that. I've seen the industry respond really positively to it, but I have less knowledge of specific customer feedback. Do you have any on that, Eddy?
Happy to. I think it's been overall very good, Zach. I think there's an appetite for it in the marketplace. We are seeing sort of positive responses. People are interested in looking more into it, in sort of seeing more things that we can add into it, which I think is a very good sign. We're also seeing quite a number of inquiries and responses coming for the European markets, as you know, Zach. In ESG is quite prevalent in Europe, much more so than in the US. So there is quite a bit of interest in that particular market too. As you know, the dashboard was launched and it's global for all our clients. So overall, it's been good.
That's great. I'm wondering what you guys both think about. Is ESG becoming kind of table stakes within the investment industry?
What was the word that you used?
Table stakes. Is it just kind of like expected that like different firms will have this as an offering now?
Yeah, I mean, I really see it, and then that's one of the impetus for the creation of this product, and also us as a company really prioritizing this. I see in the coming years that every single company will have to have a decent ESG score, and that's a really positive thing that I'm seeing in the collective right now, is that young folks particularly, but folks just overall, are a lot more aware of and prioritizing responsible behavior as we are in this, unprecedented time in the world, seeing that we are going through this transitional phase. I really see that this is an important area to help us kind of get to a future that, that wealth is created at the same time as wellness for the planet and the people, that all of these things can be collectively working together. And I think that really comes down to prioritizing the planet. And so, I see it becoming unanimous in the future.
And just to quickly add to Will, I do feel that this is a force that's coming from the millennial and Gen Z generation, and it's pushing upstream. You're already seeing it in quite a number of financial firms where they're starting to offer this. So it's something that asset managers are starting to take a look at, broker dealers, even banks, outside of just solutions, the lending product as it relates to sort of having ESG parameters and underwriting standards is becoming so important. And another factor that's also going to introduce is the regulatory environment that is much more prevalent in Europe, but also coming to the US. So I think those two forces are going to push companies to present this solution as something that's a must in the future.
I get that. I have one last question for you guys. And I guess, obviously for the people that are familiar with ESG, this comes as, it's probably very intuitive. What about the people who aren't and their IB clients? Like, what kind of education or content do you have surrounding the product to help people sort of learn to embrace this type of tool?
Yeah, that's something that we're actively working on. One of the things that I really want to create is really small educational videos. So really quick, little 30 seconds, a minute long educational videos on not only ESG, but also just traditional finance knowledge, because I do see a barrier between people and between them and becoming empowered with their finances. It's this thing where people they're scared of it. They think, oh, that's so confusing, I'm never going to be able to do it. I don't know these words, so I'll just hand that to a third party to handle. And I think that's an issue. We do vote with our dollars in this day and age. And so bringing educational pieces to empower those to take the reins in their financial reality, and also to, yes, on the ESG side as well, we're developing currently a landing page for all of our ESG offerings and what we've been doing in the space. And so as that continues to develop, we also want to add news. I can't speak too much for what's happening in the future, but, we want to be able to have news feeds for people specifically in this ESG area. So we're looking at that.
Eddy, do you have anything to add to that?
Actually, Will covered it all. I'm left speechless. So yes, covered everything.
Great teamwork, guys. I wanted to thank you both, Will and Eddy, both for joining us on the Tearsheet Podcast today.
Thanks so much
Zach,
for
having
having
us.